Chael entered the grounds of Windsor Castle dressed as a Sith Lord, carrying a crossbow. When security approached him, Chael told them he was there to kill the Queen. It emerged that the 21-year-old had been spurred on by conversations he'd been having with a chatbot app called Replica. Chael had exchanged more than 5,000 messages with an avatar on the app in February 2023. Chael pleaded guilty to a charge of treason. A judge sentenced him to 9 years in prison. He believed the avatar, Sarai, could be an angel. Some of the bot's replies encouraged his plotting.
Which was developed by San Francisco-based entrepreneur Eugenia Kaida in 2016, has more than 2 million users. Its dating app-style layout and smiling, customizable avatars peddle the illusion that something human is behind the screen. People develop deep, intimate relationships with their avatars earlier this year. Many were devastated when avatar behavior was updated to be less aggressive. While Replica is not explicitly categorized as a mental health app, Kaida has claimed it can help with societal loneliness. The app's popularity surged during the pandemic.
Cases as devastating as Chael's are relatively rare. Belgian man reportedly died of suicide after weeks of conversations with a chatbot, in the use of human-like words like capabilities suggesting independent learning instead of functions, in mental health bots with gendered characters, in ChatGPT, which refers to itself with personal pronouns. Even the serial litigant behind the recent spate of AI copyright suits believes his bot is sentient. And this choice, to depict these programs as companions as artificial humans, has implications.
Apps, often referred to as simply the apps, have become such a ubiquitous part of the modern dating scene that it can be difficult to remember connections were made. Having evolved out of desktop dating sites like eHarmony and Match.com, which were perhaps unfairly characterized as lonely hearts services for people struggling to make acquaintances in real life. More than a decade on, users are abandoning their profiles in search of a better way of meeting like-minded people. The issues with being assessed for attractiveness based on 6 pictures and a few lines of text.
Until recently, AI models were specialized tools. Using AI in a particular area, like robotics, meant spending time and money creating AI models specifically and only for that area. For example, Google's AlphaFold, an AI model for predicting protein folding, was trained using protein structure data and is only useful for working with protein structures. Instead, the team discovered robotics arm that for many cases, they could use off-the-shelf ChatGPT for controlling their robots without the AI having ever been specifically trained for it.
But perhaps inadvertently, these same changes let the successors to GPT-3, like GPT 3.5 and GPT 4, be used as powerful, general-purpose information processing tools, tools that aren't dependent on the knowledge the AI model was originally trained on or the applications the model was trained for. This requires using the AI models in a completely different way. Quantum tunneling is fundamentally stochastic, but it can be guided so that particles jump in predictable patterns. This is what led to semiconductors. AI output will need its own processes and procedures. The applications I talk about below are tools for multiplying human productivity, not autonomous agents. But the important thing is to recognize what can usefully do. They take an input and predict the probability of words and phrases relating to that input. They then generate an output that is most likely to be appropriate given the input. It's like a very sophisticated autocomplete, and give me what comes next. Fundamentally. But it also means the AI can be unpredictably powerful and flexible in ways that traditional
Incremental improvements, and eventually you'll turn a neural network that spits out gibberish into something that produces coherent sentences. And this technique can also be adapted to pictures, DNA sequences, and more. When OpenAI released GPT-2 back in 2019, it was an exciting curiosity that could write realistic stories based on short prompts. For example, it wrote some cool ones about unicorns in the Andes. GPT-3 was a step forward from GPT-2 in the length and complexity of the text that it could generate. But just as importantly, it featured a breakthrough in alignment.
When a dark-tinted sedan followed me home after I published a controversial story, which led to the resignation of someone in power. When the federal government traced my phone number back to me and blocked me from communicating with incarcerated people during the COVID-19 pandemic. When I joined the team in August, my first order of business was making sure I had a secure way to connect with the people trusting me with their lives, while simultaneously keeping myself safe. I needed an off-the-grid phone in order to make an anonymous purchase.
This is an almost daily trip, so definitely no suspicious behavior to be spotted. I chatted up the self-checkout assistant about the boys and got an extra $60 in cash back. Experts suggest purchasing a used, budget-friendly iPhone exclusively with cash. This method, they insist, guarantees no direct ties to one's identity. Always keep your VPN on, and routinely check that it's working. Subsequently, any required apps should only be downloaded with the VPN engaged. Cash is essential, but getting your hands on it requires a bit of effort in this cashless society.